Y'all, how cute are these little gift bags? I'm having so much fun making them. I don't know if I can stop. But they're perfect just to drop a gift card in, or even just fill it up with some candy and leave it on someone's desk, whatever, just a little pick-me-up. These are so precious. So let me show you how I'm making them. You can do these any size you want to naturally, but what I'm starting with now is 6 by 12. So you need one piece of liner and one piece of outside fabric. And we're going to use what we call the hot dog method on these. There's another method called the hamburger method, and I'll show you that in the next video. But for right now, you just need 2 solid pieces, one for the outside, one for the inside, and then some sort of twine or string or ribbon. I actually cut a piece of the liner. I'm going to use this for my drawstring in this one. So come around here where you can see the machine better and we'll get started. So first we're going to take each one and fold it over with right sides together, and we're not going to stress out about all this. Okay, now we're going to make some marks. On your liner side, you're going to sew all the way down one side, but here on the other side you're going to need about a 2-inch gap. And this is so you can turn it. And I usually just come up from the bottom about, an inch and a half. And then give myself about an inch and a half. Okay? So I've got that part marked off. We're going to sew from here to here. And from here to here, we're going to leave this one open. All right, now on our outside fabric, let me turn it this way. We're going to make a mark. Now these are going to be the openings for the drawstring. So first I'm going to come down about 1.5 inches. That'll be the top part of the opening. And then I'm going to go down about 3/4 inch from that. And it will depend on how thick your ribbon is. After you make one of these, you'll be able to see how you can adjust these things. Okay, so that's it. Now let's get to sewing. Okay, so now we're ready to sew. As far as settings go, I have my tension on 4. I have my stitch selector on the second middle selector, so it's not the longest stitch like right here, but it's kind of a medium stitch. And I don't, let's see, first I'm going to sew the whole side. And I'm just going to line up the raw edge of the fabric with the edge of my presser foot. This doesn't actually have to fit, so we don't have to be that specific. We just need to be consistent. So if we line all the raw edges up with the edge of our foot, we'll be fine. All the way down, and there's no need to back stitch the ends of this one. We're going to conceal those. So lift your needle all the way up. Now whenever I cut my thread with the little thread cutter over here, I always pull out just a little bit more just to be sure. Okay, on this other side we are going to sew from bottom to our mark, and then we're going to skip a space and then sew the rest of the way. That's going to be so we can turn it inside out. And once again, I'm just going to line the raw edge of my fabric up with the edge of my presser foot. Now, when I get to that mark, I am going to take a back stitch or 2 and then go back. All right, now you don't have to cut your thread where this opening is. Just raise your needle and lift up your foot and pull it right through there till you get to the next mark. Okay, put your needle in and let's go the rest. Okay, so that does it for the liner. Now let's clip where we skipped. Just clip those 2 threads. Okay, either side, and you can go ahead. I kind of like to trim as I go. And if you're looking for something interesting to do with your extra threads, sometimes I throw them out in the yard, and the birds use them for their nests. And it's kind of cool to go around and see a nest that has my threads in it. Okay, so on this side, we're going to sew from here to here and from here to there. and the same on the other side, and we do need to back stitch where those are. So let's put it under here, line it up with the edge of the foot. Turn your needle and put it in the fabric, and let's go. Okay, when it gets there, I'm going to take a couple back and a couple up. All right, raise your needle, and just like we did on the other one, we can just slide that through till we get to the next mark, and we'll go again. And I did take a back stitch there on both sides of that gap. That's going to be where the drawstring comes out. Okay. And clip this. Then we'll do the same thing over here on this other side. Now let's take this and turn it inside out and press your corners out nicely. Okay. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit of pressing. I'm going to open this up and just kind of slip inside here. I want to iron this down, especially where I left the opening, so that these will lay flat. So I'm just going to press that on that side. This helps when you're trying to feed through your drawstring so that it doesn't get hung up in the seam. And then that side. And we can do the same thing to our liner. Just a quick little press. Okay. Then we are going to take the outside fabric and we're going to slip it inside the liner. Just like this. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sew all the way across this top edge, just about 1/4 of an inch, or I'm actually, just like I've been doing, I'm going to use the edge of the presser foot. Okay, so let's open the bag up, and sometimes if your bag is big enough, you can just wrap it around your free arm, but this time it's a little too small for that. So just put it under there, line up your edge, and then we're going to make sure that our seams are matching, and we're just going to sew all the way around using this edge as a guide. And there we are. You can back stitch one if you want to. Raise your needle. And let's trim our threads. Okay, now go to your liner and find where you left the opening. You see right there's the opening in the liner, and we're going to pull through. So pull that outside fabric through, just like this. And then when you get that all the way out, now we're going to tuck this and go ahead and get your corners out. Pull those out some, okay. Then we're going to open it up and put the liner down on the inside, and let's tuck that in. Okay, so I'm going to make sure, roll that seam to make sure it's nice and flat, and okay, so I'm going to give it a little spritz of water. It makes it easier to roll this seam out so that I have it nice and snug with the seam line. And then I'm just going to press it all the way around. I'm going to press a little bit, turn it, Rolling it, kind of rock it back and forth so that you get it nice and tight. And this should be the last one. Okay. Okay. Now we are fixing to sew 3 different lines. We're going to sew one line just like 1/4 of an inch from the top. Let me show you right here. The first line is going to be 1/4 of an inch from the top. Then the next line is going to be right there on the top of where our gap is. And then the other one is going to be at the bottom of the gap. Okay? Okay, so just like we did the other time, we're going to sew from the underside, line it up with the edge of your presser foot, and put your needle in place. Then let's give it some gas. Okay, so that's our first row. And we can trim. Okay, now let's get lined up for our next one. We want it to be right about there. And you don't have to stress over this, okay? We're just going to get very, very close. If I hold my finger there, when I put it under here, I'll be able to see. Okay, so you're going to be able to see where you need your needle to go first. So let your foot down and put your needle in. Now hang on, because we need a guide. All right, so wherever that lands, and if you can see on this machine, it's right out here at the very outer line that I have. So I'm just going to try to hold the fabric steady on that line so that it looks pretty similar all the way around. And there we go for that one. One more. So let's trim these threads. And then let's find this. All right, I'm going to pinch it there so I can feel it under here. Put my finger there. I'm going to hold it where I need to be sewing. And you could mark this with a pencil if that makes you feel better. Okay, I've got it under there, so that's where it needs to go. I'm going to put my needle in. Now I'm going to check my right edge here, and it is actually even with this edge of part of the base of the machine. So that's going to be an easier guide there. Just locate a guide based on where you had to put your needle in, okay? And we're going to try to keep part of it flat and go all the way around again. And that's good there. And I did forget one little thing, so let's do that now. Go ahead and trim these threads, trim these threads. Okay, where we turned it, go back in here to the inside and find your opening. And you can hand sew this if you want to. I just usually take a seam on the machine. Make sure the front part is out of the way, and then we're just going to take a quick little seam, tuck it in. It's going to be on the inside, so no one will see. Just like that. And that is actually all of the sewing. Now, to put our drawstring in, we're going to, look how cute it's going to be. Okay, now we're ready to put our drawstring in. There's a lot of different tools and techniques for feeding this through. I just usually take a safety pin and put it in one end, and we do need 2 pieces to make this. So here goes our first piece. Find the guide hole, and we're just gonna slip it all the way around. Okay, now don't come out the other side yet. We want to make a complete circle with this. And sometimes you have to wiggle it around there to get through that where those flaps were. Okay, and here we are with this first side. Now when I get it out, okay, so here we go, and pull that side on through. I go ahead and tie a knot in them now so they don't come out when I'm trying to do the other side. So just match those 2 ends up. This is kind of the shabby chic look, so we're not after perfection. Okay, and tighten that up there. Okay, and then let's spread it back out. And we're going to start, this time we're going to go in this side and come all the way around. So just keep on going right through that hole again. All the way through. Okay. And once again, match these up, tie a knot in them. Just like that. And now you have a super cute little drawstring bag to fill up with something. Now, one word of warning. I showed you this one at the beginning. I told you this is the hot dog method because it's like a hot dog bun where the bottom of it is just folded over. But if you choose a fabric like this one that is directional, it has a right side up and an upside down. Well, if you use the hot dog method, your other side is going to be upside down. Now, that may not bother you, but we can also use the hamburger method to prevent that from happening. So, my next video, I will show you how not to have this happen if you have a directional print. There's just one extra step, so be sure and hit the subscribe button so you'll know when that hits.